towards the coast from Hyderabad and about a 7 hours drive up the coast from Chennai in India. Rajeev, tell us a little bit about that early childhood and about your parents.
Is that working?
Yep. You can see the photo over there, Darcy, and thank you. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for introduction. That's my dad holding me, and my mom also is there in the photo. When I was born 13 pounds. That was my weight. And since that day, I've been trying to lose all the weight. And don't blame me for that. It's my mom's fault. She was preparing for her medical exams, so she was very stressed, I think, or she was studying, so she used to eat a lot. And all that rests on my love handles now. So it's not, so 13 pounds, and from there you can see my dad, and my favorite fruit is the guava, so that's my favorite photo. I always like eating the guavas, and so he's carrying me over there. Mom and dad both are medical practitioners. Mom was a pediatrician. She's retired as a pediatrician. Dad is still active as a gastrointestinal surgeon, and that's a family photo. Yes, Darcy?
Yes, Rajeev, you've got one sister younger than you.
Yeah.
How did you get on with her, and what's happened to her these days?
That's the younger one in the photo over there, and the one sitting on the left side in the group photo down at the bottom. I get along reasonably okay with her. I'm just joking. I get along well, but it used to be a real fight when we were growing up as kids, because she always wanted to do whatever I did, which I didn't like. So when we were doing plays or when we were acting, I used to always give her all the villain roles. So she put, and I used to be the hero, and she used to be the villain and all. So she took it, and she's 3.5 years younger than me, and she lives with her family on the Gold Coast in Queensland. And yes, got along well. And her husband is a surgeon. He's also in the medical practice, and both her kids are doctors. So one is studying to be a doctor, one is completed a doctor. So I think the whole family has doctors in it.
You said your mother was a good eater. I hear on the grapevine that you're a pretty good eater. Ice cream, other foods, guava. In primary school, you used to stand out the front of the school next to the ice cream vendor and almost beg people going past to buy you ice cream, and you were very successful at that. I also hear your love of guava is so great that you licked every one you got so that no one else would pinch it. And I hear that your mother, with a love of food, used to send you with a wonderful big lunch, which you ate before lunch, and then you booked in at the local restaurant for a full buffet lunch.
I think, Darcy, someone is feeding you all inside information.
That wasn't on the sheet, was it?
It wasn't on the sheet. You didn't share these questions with me. Yes.
So maybe could you tell us a little bit about this and about your life in primary school and secondary school, and the sorts of sports you played, as well as your love of food?
I used to love food, and I still love food, and I always love food, I think. So it's, people say that you have to eat to live, but I live to eat. So it's the other way around. And there's a story behind the guavas, why I used to lick all the guavas, because I didn't want my sister to eat them. So if I lick them and put, she thinks, okay, he's touched it, he's not going to eat, but sometimes she used to scrape off and then still eat. So, and Mars bars, mom used to buy me one Mars bar and my sister one Mars bar. I used to hide my Mars bar. She used to eat her bar and then come and eat mine. So that's why I used to lick it and keep it to be safe. And ice creams, yes. My best friend in school was the ice cream vendor. I used to go there and sit with him, and because the place I grew up or I was born and brought up is a very hot place. 45 degrees summer is the norm. So the ice cream in the school time is, we never had air conditioning in the school, it was just fans. So I used to go and sit with the ice cream vendor, and I used to have a running account with him. And my mom and dad used to give me a pocket money, but it used to, surprisingly, by Tuesday, the pocket money was over. So next 3 days, I had to survive on favors and asking them. I used to always have a deal with my friend. You buy me one this week, I'll buy you next week. And so that's about. I used to love ice creams. And in my school, I used to love acting. And you can look at me over there. So that's dressed as a police officer and then dressed as a prince. At the bottom photo, I'm dressed like Batman, and my wife is trying to cover my mustache because Batman doesn't have a mush, but I used to have one. So she was trying to cover it. And you can see me with a photograph with Sachin Tendulkar over there in the middle. Sachin Tendulkar is one of the cricketing legends, and I used to play cricket, not too well, so that's why I didn't progress past my university. I used to be an opening batsman and a leg spinner, but not very good. So that's why I didn't get selected into the state or district team. But I used to play badminton reasonably well, and I used to play singles and doubles, and I played up to the state level. And sports and acting, those two were my passions, and I think they still continue.
Rajeev, you've had a very extensive involvement in the tertiary sector. You studied at 5 different universities, 3 in India and 2 in Australia, and you've worked in 3 universities in Australia. We'll talk later about your working life, but tell us about the courses you undertook and the different universities you studied at.
Okay. Before I go to the Darcy, on the WhatsApp group, I promised everyone that I'll reveal something about a photograph. Past President Rob Falconer thought that it's my wife. I found it very insulting. I spent so much time. So when I was probably 6 or 7 years old, my cousins, they dressed me up like a girl because there was a fancy dress competition. And Paul asked me a question whether my mom liked girls. Yes, my mom liked girls a lot. So we used to I got dressed up like this and I won. I won the best prize, best dress, because I even had the earrings. And the surprising part is the hairstyle is completely my own hair. It's not a wig, it's my own hair. They did it that way and they put it up over there. And so, and coming back to the girl story, mom used to be a pediatrician, but being a woman pediatrician in India, they do lots of gynec and obstetric cases also. So in our hospital, in my mom and dad's hospital, there is a significantly high percentage of girls. So if anyone wants to have a girl, they used to come to our hospital because 70% of the babies born in our hospital are all girls. So in India, it's a bit of means they all like boys. So that's why it used to be, they used to say that, oh, if we want to have a boy, then we won't go to that hospital. We'll only for a girl, we'll go there. And so that's why she loved dressing me up and I used to, once I was dressed up like a Japanese RI president, Hiroji Mukasa, was Rotary International president, and she put in a lot of effort to get my eyes into the Japanese size and also. So that's my love for acting and dressing up. Going back to Darcy's question, 97, February, Priya and myself got married, and it's been a mostly happy married life. And few months after getting married, we came to Australia. I came to Bond University. You can see in the photo over there. Bond University is where I did my master's in international management. Before that, I had 2 other masters. My bachelor's was in arts, BA political science, MA in English literature, and an MBA in marketing. Then I thought 2 masters are not good enough. I need a 3rd master's. Came to Australia, promised my grandparents and mom and dad that I'll come back to India in 18 months. 25 years and 6 months later, I'm still here. Didn't go back. And I loved Bond University in Queensland. It's a private university. And the chancellor who was giving me the award is, some of you might know, Paul Scully Power, astronaut, Australia's astronaut. And the photo on the other side is when I got my PhD from University of Adelaide. PhD in movie entrepreneurship, because that's where I had a life before I came back into academia. And that's the last degree. I promised my wife that I'll finish with a PhD, no more studies after that. So I have 1 bachelor's, 3 masters, and a PhD. And what did I do for a life? I kept on studying.
Thanks, Rajeev. We're really glad that Priya and Ahalia are with us today. Rajeev, tell us about your lovely daughter Ahalia and what she's doing with her life.
You can see her there. That's the day we got married. That's a marriage photo, and that's the way we dress up for our Indian weddings. And Priya was struggling to smile. I think she was tired, and I was wondering what I'm getting into. So, and those are the other photos of our life in Australia. And our daughter over there, you can see her, and she's here, Ahalya. She was born in 2000, and she always says that I wanted a boy. Yes, I wanted someone to play cricket with, but I'm okay with her now. She's okay. And she's now studying media and law and media double degree at University of Adelaide, and she wants to be an entertainment lawyer. She's not following me, but she wants to be an entertainment lawyer so that she can make all the money and I can retire. Priya she's been a big support for past 26 years, and she's worked in the university sector for a long time and then worked in TAFE, and now she's working for a bridge, South Australian Bridge Association. So a game which is highly intellectual for me, but she seems to be liking it.
How did you and Priya meet?
Okay, it depends on whose version you want to listen to, but...
We'll hear your version first, and we'll ask Priya.
Even today, Priya says she never fell in love with me on the first sight. But I am very, very humble, and I accept that I fell in love on the first sight. January 1996, January, first time I saw her. I was a quiz master conducting a quiz program, and she was in one of the quiz teams. Somehow she won. I didn't do anything. Yes, the rest of the team. And something worked, and I then went and checked her out, and I said, "Can we catch up after that?" And then she said, "Okay, we'll have a chat." And we went to the cafe and I ordered one bottle of Fanta with 2 straws in it. She hates it even now, saying that how cheap I can be. Can't I get 2 bottles of Fanta? Because Fanta was my favorite drink, and then her mother came, and then I had an interview panel. A grandmother, 2 brothers, mother, and a brother's business partner whose wife was teaching me. So a big interview panel about what's going to happen in my life, what's my future plans, and whether I'm good enough, or whether I get drunk in the night, or that, all sorts of questions. Managed to work through that, and here we are.
While you're sharing that Fanta, I believe you asked Priya a question. It was your first question. What was that?
About vegetarianism, I think. She asked.
What was your response?
Okay, so until that point of time, and even until 2007, I used to eat only meat. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I used to hate vegetables, and it was not a preference. And Priya said she's a vegetarian, and she said she prefers vegetarianism. Then I said, okay, I'll give up meat. Then she said, why is this guy promising to give up meat? Because we've not started dating or anything. Then I said, okay, in a few years I'll give up meat. Few years was 11 years later, so 2000s, and every year she reminded me, when are you giving up meat? And now I gave up meat, and so for the past 15 years I've been a vegetarian for her sake.
Okay, let's have a look at your extensive and diverse work experience. When you first graduated in India, you had a couple of jobs. Can you tell us a little bit about those? The
first job I got was to sell cement. A cement manufacturing company came to my school and to my MBA university, and they recruited me to be an area sales manager to sell cement. And I used to love the job, but nothing I studied was relevant because I used to be dealing with all these masons and building workers who did not care whether I had an MBA or not. So I had to go and convince them to buy my cement. And I used to go travel different parts of India trying to sell them Portland Pozzolana cement, PPC cement, 43 grade, 53 grade, and I became an engineer overnight. I was trying to explain them, but that was my first job. But I always loved books, and my first part-time paid job was in a bookstore, as helping stack the books and work the cash counter. I always wanted to own my own bookstore, which I did a few years later. It's modeled on the lines of a store called Borders, where there are books in the front and coffee shop in the back. So that was the deal which Priya and myself, we started it. And I ran the bookstore for 3 years. One day a customer came to me and asked if I can match the price on Amazon. And that's the day I decided I'll close the bookstore because I cannot match 35% discount with the air conditioning and with the staff salaries. And also I said, no, that's it. So after 3 years, I exited that. And if you can see my career over there, on the left side is the book which I've written. Some of you have read that book. No, I've sent some of you the book. I don't know whether you read it or not.
Yes.
So it's called Indian Movie Entrepreneurship. And those two, hero and heroine on the cover, are my very good friends. They acted in 3 of my movies. He acted in 3 of my movies. In the middle photo is when I was selling books. The local paper did a feature on me called Bookseller, and that's what it is. And then the other photo is when I was addressing the young Indians in India. And the left side is one, I'm giving a painting to one of the leading actresses in India. She acted in one of a movie. And the poster, the yellow color one, is one book company or university, they were marketing me. I did a online session for them last year. So that's my career so far.
Well, after that start in India, why did you choose Australia of all places? You're a pretty worldly guy.
Okay, 97. We thought we'll go outside India for about 1.5 years of international experience and exposure. So Priya and myself were chatting, and we had a list of conditions. Her condition was that she wants to be somewhere closer to family. So US and Canada were the options because we had lots of family over there. I said, no, it's too cold. I can't go there. So my condition was, whichever country I go to, they have to drive on the right side of the road. First condition. Second condition, they have to play cricket. So that narrowed it down to England, which is very cold, South Africa, which was uncertain at that time, New Zealand, which is very small, Australia, beautiful Australia. So that's why we decided we've come to Australia because we love cricket and I love cricket. She just tagged on along. And so it's a great country to come. So that's the decision.
Well, having come here, you seem to change the focus of your employment and you moved to the tertiary sector by studying and working. Tell us about some of the roles in the tertiary sector you've had since coming.
When I came to do my master's, Darcy, I thought it will be only for 1 year, as I said, but one of the professors offered me a gig as a lecturer, as a part-time lecturer. And I did marketing, introduction to marketing, that's called Marketing 101 course, and I loved it. Students loved it, I loved it, and I won a Best Teaching Award. And I thought, okay, this looks like interesting, and I seem to be enjoying pontificating and lecturing students. So that's how I took to teaching. Until then, I never had teaching experience. And for about 10 years after that, I was teaching. I was teaching at Bond University, Griffith University, then University of Western Sydney. And even today, if you ask me as a profession, what is my most loved profession? Teaching. I really enjoy teaching. I don't know why, for what reason. Probably that's my personality. I was born to be a teacher or whatever reason, but I enjoy teaching. So that was my career. But 2006, 2007, I took a break saying that, okay, I've been teaching for 10 years. Now I want to do what I always wanted to do in life, that is to make movies. So 3 of us friends together joined as a company and started off making movies. Initially financed about 35 movies in the Indian movie industry. Then one of the guys who borrowed money from us defaulted. He became bankrupt and the police arrested and put him in jail. So our money was stuck. Either we write off the money or we take over the project. So we decided we'll take over the project. And so by 2009, by default, I became a producer. And since then, for about 8 years, produced 14 movies in Bollywood. Some of them were very big successes. Some of them were disasters. Invested $10 million in one movie, lost all 10 million. No, in fact, invested $10 million, lost $11 million. If I include the interest also, wiped out, and it took us 4 movies to make the money back. And every time a movie was releasing for 1 week straight, I never used to sleep because we have to collect the money back from the distributors, and it was very stressful. Priya used to see me and say that I used to look like a red tomato in a microwave oven, ready to burst. So she insisted it's enough. So 2017, took a break from the industry. Last movie was in February 2017. Luckily, a professor who taught me at Bond University is still at University of Adelaide. He said, come over here and do your movie research. That's how I came to University of Adelaide.
What was your favourite movie?
In any language or?
In any language.
Oh, okay. My favorite movie is a movie called Sister Act. Okay, because I love an actress called Whoopi Goldberg, and whatever she acts in, I love. But Sister Act is, I don't know why I connected with it, because 16 years of my life I've been educated by Catholic nuns and priests and fathers. So I think that connected. So singing in the choir, when all these wonderful members of Adelaide Rotary Choir sing, I feel so jealous, because each time I put up my hand and auditioned for the choir, I used to be fired. Never got into the choir. And especially the sisters and Mother Superior were very particular about the voices. I was never making the cut. So that's why I like Sister Act. Yes.
What about the ones you produce yourself? What's your favourite from those?
Nan-E, I Am a Fly. So, some of you must have seen 4 years ago a presentation which I've done. It's a movie called I Am a Fly, and which is my favorite movie. Even now, it's my favorite movie and really connected well with the audience and with me also. Yes.
Terrific. Let's have a look at your Rotary journey now. Now, last week at the induction, you mentioned that you joined Rotary at age 7 as an Annette,
Yes.
Which is a term and feature we don't have in Rotary here. Tell us a bit more about that.
In small towns and many cities in India, Rotary is really a big social activity. So when dad or mom, in those days only dad's, mom was not allowed. So when we joined Rotary, the kids automatically become a classification of membership called Annette. Annette means we are allowed to attend all social meetings. We have our own badges, Annette badges. And so 78, when my dad joined Rotary, I became an Annette. Then in school, I became an Interactor. In college, I became a Rotractor, and then a Paul Harris Fellow, and then a Rotarian. It used to be great fun being in Rotary, and we used to have a lot of social activities, a lot of community organization activities in India. And my mom used to be active in a club called Inner Wheel. You know Inner Wheel? Yeah. So Inner Wheel is for the ladies. So I don't think it's active now, because Rotarians members, Rotary, it is still? Okay, yeah. So that's how I got into Rotary.
Your dad's obviously been a big influence on your life and on your Rotary life. What about his involvement in Rotary? Tell us a bit about that.
I think when Darcy and myself were having this chat, I joked with Darcy, if my dad was not in Rotary, I would have had 2 more extra properties or assets. Yes. Priya is sadly shaking her head, and she's saying, yes, he's a multiple, what's that, major donor, multiple levels or something. He's one story which I shared with Malcolm Downs when Malcolm did an interview of me was 75th birthday. My dad always wanted to buy a Rolex watch. He said, okay, 75, because as a surgeon, he always used to remove his watch when doing surgeries. So that's why he didn't have an expensive watch. But at 75, he said, okay, I'm going to retire. I'm going to buy a Rolex watch. I said, okay, we all were expecting that he'll go and buy a Rolex watch. Then next month after his birthday, I call him and say, can you show me the Rolex watch you bought? He said, no, I didn't buy. Why? The money I set aside for Rolex, I've given it for the polio campaign. What? So it's a Rolex watch is a substantial amount of money. So he gave it all to the polio campaign. And I was thinking that I'm going to get a Rolex watch eventually. So that's gone down. So, and then luckily, his older sister who lives in the US, unknowingly, she gifted him a Rolex watch this year. And I said, see, you did a good cause. That's why you got the Rolex watch. And that's how passionate he is about Rotary. He's attended about 10 or 11 international conventions and is very, very committed Rotarian even now.
You're going to get him into Melbourne next year?
He's planning to come, hopefully, if my mom's not doing well health-wise. So if it permits, he'll be here. And that's my photo of the Rotary journey here. Taking the baton from Paul on the left side, passing it on to Cam on the right side. And the photo near the Adelaide Oval, and all the 7 or 8 presidents standing on the stage. Some of them are here, Frank, Darcy, Adriano, yep. And when I joined Rotary, attendance was compulsory. You have to have 100% is preferred, but at least 90%. So I went to Singapore, Dubai, Manchester, wherever I go, I used to go with a flag and so that I can mark my attendance and come back and show the makeup sheet. Now we don't have that. So, and the photo on the corner is when we were volunteering for the Adelaide Rotary pageant, Adelaide pageant, Christmas pageant. The penguins' shoelaces I'm tying that. So that's a favorite photo. So Rotary in action.
Well, here in Australia, Rotary is aging membership and declining numbers, whereas India, it's quite the reverse, booming, booming. You've been a member both in India and here. What are the main differences from your perspective?
India, lots of young members joined, Darcy. That's a big difference. And young members, like the other day I met a president of a club who has 1,000 members in his club. I said, do you know all of them? He said, no. He doesn't even know all of the members. Only 200, 300 members he knows, but 1,000 members, because all youngsters would like to have Rotary on their resume. So they join. Some of them progress and they contribute for a long time. Some of them are active for 5 years and then drop out. So Rotary is a very, very popular social organization in India. And yet attracting younger members is not a problem in India, whereas here it's a challenge. It's becoming more challenging because the way volunteering and younger members commit to volunteering is changing. And I have to give a plug to the regionalization project. Darcy and David, they've been doing amazing work trying to reinvent the way we look at Rotary, and that's the only way we can survive. Because I think these traditional old models which we have for Rotary might survive in a few countries, but not definitely across the world. So that's the major difference I find from India to here.
Okay, thank you. Well, apart from wanting to join the Not the Test Match Dinner Committee, what other reasons did you consider in choosing to join our club 5 years ago?
Oh, such lovely members, Darcy.
You didn't know us then.
But I knew of one member, so that one member was a magnet to me, Sir Donald Bradman. So he was a member, and when I checked here, I was a member of Rotary Club of Madras, which is 94 years old club in India. So I wanted to come to the oldest club in Adelaide. And when I started looking out, Donald Bradman was a member of Rotary Adelaide, and we meet at Adelaide Oval. So what more convincing I need? So I didn't even look at projects which we do. I said, okay, this is the club I'm joining.
And we're very glad you did.
Thank you. Yes.
You're just about to start your year as president. What about your plans for the year, and where would you like to see the club going in the long term?
My plan, as I mentioned to the board, is concentrate on fellowship. So last 2 years, we've not been having most of the members attend. And so there's some very good members who most of you know, like Ian Renton, Sean Gagan, and all these. We're fun to hang out with. They've not attended a meeting for the past 2.5 years or 2 years. Might be COVID, might be something else. I don't know. So I've written to them, I've called them, and I'm literally twisting their arms to start attending the meetings. And that's going to be my focus, because I joined Rotary for fellowship and service with and like-minded people, but fellowship. So if we start missing the fellowship, I think the essence of Rotary is lost. So that's why I thought that should be my focus for this year. And if you can see the picture over there, that's my dad now, and that's the photo under the Rotary International Convention in Houston, under the globe. And you can see the photo, I took a selfie of myself, Rotary People of Action. So try to do something different for every club, so that at least we'll have a future to attract younger members. And I'll sign off by talking about my personal career. I always dreamt of working with the wildlife. That's one thing on my bucket list which has not been still completed. I worked in movies and I've taught. Those are my passions. I sold books, another passion, but I've not worked with wildlife. So you can see our first child was a gorilla. No offense to my daughter, but even before she was born, we adopted a gorilla for Dian Fossey Foundation in Rwanda and Congo, where they have mountain gorillas and silverback gorillas, which are under threat of extinction. So eventually, I want to do something in wildlife before I retire. That's my future plan. Yes, thank you.
I think that's probably done.